The snow had been falling for hours and Emma Hayes was late, again. But this time, it wasn't just about keeping someone waiting. This time, she might be ruining her only chance at something that felt like hope. Emma's hands trembled as she buttoned her daughter's coat, her eyes darting to the clock on the wall. 7:45. The blind date her sister had arranged was supposed to start at 7. 15 minutes ago, she'd been ready to walk out the door when Lily spiked a fever, and the babysitter called to cancel. Now standing in the flickering fluorescent light of the hospital's pediatric waiting room, Emma felt the familiar weight of single motherhood crushing down on her chest. Every decision felt impossible. Every choice felt wrong. She pulled out her phone with shaking fingers and typed another apologetic text to the stranger who was supposed to be sitting alone at Giovanni's, the upscale Italian restaurant she couldn't really afford even if she did make it there. "I'm so sorry," she wrote for the third time. Still at the hospital. "You should go. I understand completely." The response came faster than she expected. "I'll wait. Take care of your daughter. That's what matters." Emma stared at the words until they blurred. In her experience, men didn't wait. Her ex-husband certainly hadn't. When Lily was born premature, spending her first 6 weeks in the NICU, he'd called it quits, saying he'd signed up for a wife, not a full-time nurse. That was 3 years ago, and Emma had been running ever since, working double shifts as a receptionist at a dental office, stretching every dollar until it screamed, and trying to be enough for a little girl who deserved the world. She hadn't wanted to go on this date at all. Her sister Claire had practically begged her, insisting that Marcus Chen was different, that he was kind, successful, and genuinely interested in meeting her. Emma had agreed only because it was Christmas Eve, and she was tired of spending every holiday feeling like she was failing at life. But now, watching Lily's small chest rise and fall as she slept fitfully against Emma's shoulder, she knew she'd been right all along. Women like her didn't get fairy tales. They got doctor bills and rescheduled dreams. By 9:30, Lily had been examined, given medication for an ear infection, and was sleeping peacefully in Emma's arms. Emma's phone buzzed. Another text from Marcus. "How is she?" Emma's throat tightened. He was still asking. Still there somehow. She typed back, "She's okay. Ear infection. I'm so sorry about tonight." "Merry Christmas. Giovanni's closes at 10, he wrote back. "But I know a diner that's open all night. If you're hungry and if you want company, I'll be at Rosie's on 5th Street. No pressure. Just coffee and maybe some pie." Emma looked down at Lily, then at her own reflection in the darkened window. She looked exhausted, her mascara smudged, her hair falling out of the clip she'd so carefully arranged hours ago. This was not how first dates were supposed to go. This was not the version of herself she wanted anyone to see. But something in his words struck her. No pressure. When was the last time anyone had offered her something with no strings attached? She bundled Lily into the car and drove through the snowy streets, half convinced she'd arrived to find Rosie's empty, the whole thing a polite fiction he'd used to extract himself from an awkward situation. But when she pushed through the door, cheeks flushed from the cold, she saw him immediately. Marcus Chen sat in a corner booth, still wearing the dark blue suit he'd probably put on hours ago, though he'd loosened his tie and rolled up his sleeves. He was handsome in an understated way, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses and a warm smile that reached all the way to the corners of his eyes. When he saw her, he stood up, and Emma noticed he was holding a small stuffed reindeer. "I thought she might like this," he said simply, gesturing to Lily, who was awake now and staring at him with wide, curious eyes. The gift shop at the hotel next door was just closing. The woman took pity on me. Emma felt something crack open in her chest. "You didn't have to do that." "I know," he said. "But it's Christmas Eve. Everyone should have something to smile about." They slid into the booth, and Marcus ordered coffee for both of them without making a fuss. About the hour or the change in plans, he asked about Lily, really asked, wanting to know about her favorite foods and her preschool and whether she still believed in Santa Claus. He didn't check his phone. He didn't glance at the door. He was just there. "I have to confess something," Emma said finally, wrapping her cold hands around the coffee mug. "I almost didn't come at all tonight. Even before Lily got sick, I almost canceled this morning because I looked at my bank account and realized I couldn't really afford to split the check at Giovanni's. and I was too embarrassed to say so. Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Your sister told me you were honest," he said. "I appreciate that. And for what it's worth, I was nervous too. I've been on a lot of first dates in the last 2 years since my divorce. They usually follow a script. We talk about our jobs, our hobbies, our travel plans. We perform the best versions of ourselves. But life isn't like that, is it? Life is ear infections on Christmas, Eve and canceled babysitters, and doing the best you can with what you've got." "Your sister also told me you're a CEO," Emma said, unable to hide her skepticism. "I'm not sure you know much about doing the best with what you've got." Marcus smiled, but there was something sad in it. "My company almost went bankrupt 4 years ago. I was sleeping on my brother's couch, answering customer service calls at 2 in the morning, and eating ramen for dinner most nights. I got lucky. I had an idea at the right time, and I worked myself half to death to make it happen. But I remember what it feels like to be afraid of looking at your bank account. I remember what it feels like to think you're failing." Emma studied his face, searching for insincerity, for the catch that always came. But all she saw was someone who understood, who had been broken and put himself back together, just like she was trying to do. They talked until midnight, until Lily fell asleep again, with her head on Emma's lap and the reindeer tucked under her arm. They talked about books and bad movies, and the pressure of trying to be perfect for everyone all the time. Marcus told her about his mother, who'd raised him and his 2 siblings alone after his father died, working 3 jobs and never once complaining. Emma told him about her dreams of going back to school someday, of maybe becoming a dental hygienist instead of just answering phones. When the clock struck 12, Marcus raised his coffee mug. "Merry Christmas, Emma." "Merry Christmas," she whispered back. They walked out into the snow together, and Marcus helped her get Lily settled in the car seat. Before she could drive away, he leaned down to her window. "I'd like to see you again," he said. "If you're willing, maybe somewhere with better timing and less stress." Emma felt tears prick her eyes. "Why? Why would you want to?" "You've seen the worst of it. The chaos and the mess and all the reasons I'm not a good bet." Marcus shook his head slowly. "I saw a mother who loves her daughter enough to put her first. Always. I saw a woman who's honest even when it's hard. I saw someone I'd like to know better if she'll let me. That's not the worst of anything, Emma. That's the best of everything." As Emma drove home through the silent, snow-covered streets, Lily sleeping peacefully in the back seat and Marcus's number saved in her phone, she realized something had shifted. For the first time in 3 years, she wasn't afraid of hoping. She wasn't afraid of believing that maybe, just maybe, someone could see all of her, the struggles and the strength, the fear and the love, and choose to stay anyway. Christmas morning came with weak winter, sunlight and lilies, delighted squeals over the modest, presents under their small tree. Emma's phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Thank you for last night. Best Christmas Eve I've had in years." She smiled, typing back with fingers that no longer trembled. "Thank you for waiting." Because that was the gift, she realized. Not the fancy restaurant or the expensive gestures, just someone willing to wait through the hard parts, to see her as she really was, and to believe she was worth it. That was the kind of magic that didn't need snow or mistletoe or perfect timing. It just needed 2 people brave enough to be real with each other, even when real was messy and inconvenient and nothing like the fairy tale, especially then.